With Mortal Kombat landing back on its feet in the early 2000s, Midway settled on a new plan for the franchise: annual releases. Midway, boosting off their biggest franchise's current commercial success, they decided to have a new Mortal Kombat release each year onwards for the fans to enjoy. But with Mortal Kombat 7 looking like an extra year away, a new spin-off action game was put into production. During the series' venture into spin-off territory in the late 90s with Mythologies and Special Forces, another idea at the time was an action-adventure game starring Liu Kang. However, the project was shelved after Special Forces' negative reception. Luckily, this plan was resurrected and was Midway's first step into releasing a new game set within the MK franchise each year onwards. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, released 1 year after Deception in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. This game is not a one-on-one fighting game. Instead, much like Mythologies and Special Forces, it goes the route of a story-centered action game with some light RPG leveling system, placing the spotlight this time on Liu Kang and Kung Lao, with the main premise being two-player cooperative action whilst also being playable in single-player. Shaolin Monks is also a retelling of Mortal Kombat 2. It is not set after Deception, which is a common misconception, and nor does it replace Mortal Kombat 2 in any way, with the Shaolin Monks story containing a few light inconsistencies with the Mortal Kombat timeline, thus placing it as a completely standalone game. It opens with another epic CGI cutscene depicting a retelling of the first game's Mortal Kombat tournament, in which Shang Tsung attempted to conquer Earthrealm. The contestants battle one another with Liu Kang facing Shang Tsung in a spectacular battle, whilst Kung Lao aids his friend, entering the tournament disguised as a guard. Goro soon enters the scene and he lays waste to all. However, with the injuries Shang Tsung had attained from battling Liu Kang, he creates a portal and orders an evacuation. The sorcerer, Goro, Reptile and Kano escape through the portal and the island begins to crumble. The first tournament is over and now you must escape Shang Tsung's island. Choosing to play as either Liu Kang or Kung Lao, this first level, which begins in Goro's lair, will introduce you to the new fighting system of Shaolin Monks. Named multi-directional combat, the new fighting system allows you to battle enemies in full 360 degrees and continue combos whilst also moving direction to fight multiple surrounding enemies at once. The game uses the top 3 face buttons for its attacks. Square and circle are your genre staple light and heavy attacks, with the light attacks being much faster to plant but dealing less damage, and vice versa with the heavy attacks. Triangle is a launch attack, allowing you to kick and uppercut your enemies into the air. You can also perform different attacks once you have set up a run, you can perform air juggles, and you can execute character-specific special moves which are beautifully translated into the gameplay. You can perform your special moves with ease at any time by holding a back button in conjunction with a face button. However, you do have a limited energy meter to not overuse them. You can do Liu Kang's flying kick, shoot his fireballs, and even perform his iconic bicycle kick. As Kung Lao, you can throw his razor-bladed hat and perform his tornado spin. All the special moves are pulled straight from the fighting games, and it adds great authenticity to the fast-paced, intuitive combat. In addition to your melee attacks, just like Mortal Kombat Deception, there are some weapons lying around the game's levels to equip and use against your foes, and there's a nice variety to find, all with their own unique animations and attacks. Also, like Deception, each of the game's levels contain a myriad of different death traps that you can throw and kick your enemies into, opening up a whole new avenue to lay waste to your opponents. Shaolin Monks, as much as it is a linear beat-em-up game, translated so much that is iconic about Mortal Kombat into its gameplay. For example, when you need to pull a lever or another action to open a door or trigger another sequence, instead of just tapping a button on screen, the developers reintroduced the Test Your Might minigame from the first and fifth Mortal Kombat games, which really adds that extra Mortal Kombat charm. When you fill your new blood meter, you can execute one of 3 various finisher attacks, which are a staple of the MK franchise. There's your iconic fatalities, which sees your character execute your opponent in a creative fashion. A brutality, which essentially gives you a temporary rage mode where you can execute to your heart's content. And new to the series is the Mortality. It's like a fatality, but instead of focusing on one foe, it is a wide range area of effect attack that can kill multiple enemies at once, hence the name. Killing opponents awards you with experience points that you can use in a very similar fashion to mythologies and special forces to upgrade your character's special attacks. Another great aspect of Shaolin Monks you'll see in the first level and throughout the rest of the game is the design of many of the classic stages in now full 3D environments, with detail like we've never seen before. Take Goro's lair for example. Remember wondering what the glowing eyes were in the background? Well, now you get to battle those creatures. There's the pit stage with layers of spikes at the bottom, there's the living forest, the portal which has you battling with the hooded shadow priests which are in the background of MK2, and the game has an epic finale in Shao Kahn's arena. The attention to detail and recapturing of that same thick, dark atmosphere from MK2 is superbly achieved in Shaolin Monks. Once you've escaped Shang Tsung's island, the heroes of Mortal Kombat Tournament are invited to the Wu Shi Academy of Shaolin Monks to receive awards and gratitude for their success in holding back Shang Tsung and his minions. However, peace doesn't last very long, and very much like how it is mentioned in the original MK2, Baraka and his Tarkatan horde attack the Wu Shi Academy on orders of Outworld Emperor Shao Kahn. This leads into the second chapter, the attack on Wu Shi Academy. In this level you'll reach a section where you'll be accompanied by an AI Johnny Cage. This happens a few times throughout the game when you'll be aided in battles with other Mortal Kombat heroes like Jax, Johnny Cage, Sub-Zero and Katana. It's also in this mission that Sonya gets kidnapped by Baraka, which leads her to be out of action for the events of MK2. Once you've defeated the Tarkatan forces in what is a beautifully designed level, you'll enter a portal created by Raiden to a different plane. From here you travel to the rest of the game's various levels, travelling between locations in Outworld and even the Netherrealm, in a bid to track down Shang Tsung and bring him to justice. It leads you into battles against other Outworld forces such as Mileena, Reptile, Goro and Baraka. There are also the 3 secret encounters, a boss battle against the mysterious Red Ninja Ermac, a battle against Kano when attempting to rescue Sonya, and finally a side quest involving Smoke, who is hidden in the living forest, as he was in the original MK2 stage, seen peeping from behind a tree. Smoke's secret quest involves 5 missions that when completed unlocks for you the full original arcade version of Mortal Kombat 2. However, this unlockable is not featured in the European versions of Shaolin Monks. So you've bested the Outworld forces, you've reached the arena and the audience is awaiting you. It's time for the final clash, and just like the original MK2, it's a triple threat bonanza. You first start with a duel against Shang Tsung, then Kintaro is called into the arena by Shao Kahn, who watches from his throne. You defeat Kintaro, tearing his arms from his body, and then it's on to the final battle against Shao Kahn, making this his 3rd appearance as a final boss. Kahn is tough, but once you defeat him, the threat is over, and Earthrealm is saved. Let's now go through what separates Shaolin Monks from being a replacement for MK2 in the timeline and what places it in its own canon. To begin with, Kung Lao is featured in the first MK Games tournament, when initially he didn't join until MK2. In the original MK2, Liu Kang is not present when the Tarkatans invade the Shaolin temples and slaughter the residents, but in Shaolin Monks he is there to assist and push back the Tarkatans. Kitana's history is very different in Shaolin Monks, which explains that she has known about her past and Shao Kahn's invasion of her realm for quite some time, but was instead put under a spell by Melina and Jade to be loyal to Shao Kahn. However, in the main timeline, Kitana only discovered her true past during the events of MK2, and before that, she was completely loyal to her assumed father, Shao Kahn, and would do anything to make her emperor proud. Sub-Zero in the main timeline only finds out about his brother's turn into Spectre Noob Saibot during the relative arcade ending in Mortal Kombat Deception. However, here in Shaolin Monks it is made clear that Sub-Zero already knows the identity of Noob, who makes a short cameo. Shang Tsung's story is changed, with him regaining his youth through his own magic and not via Shao Kahn, which kick-started the original MK2 story. And lastly, upon completing the game, a final cutscene shows Netherrealm sorcerer Quan Chi walk over to where Shao Kahn was defeated by Liu Kang and claims his amulet, which turns out to be Shinnok's amulet. However, in the main timeline, Sub-Zero defeats Quan Chi and retains the amulet at the end of Mythologies, passing it on to Raiden moments before the events of the first tournament, leaving no opportunity for Shao Kahn to have possession of the amulet in the main timeline. Upon completing the game, you unlock the additional characters, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, to play through the campaign as. This is a really incredible unlockable, as they both even come with their own special moves, like Sub-Zero's Ice Blast and Slide, and Scorpion's Spear Attack and Teleport. They also have their own fatalities to execute, however in cutscenes they do have the same animations and voices as Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Nevertheless, this is well more than enough reason to replay this game a second time. Alongside the campaign, there is also a versus mode in which you can battle against another player as one of 8 different characters, using the exact same mechanics and 3D multi-directional fighting system from the campaign, including the fatalities. Initially you only have Liu Kang and Kung Lao unlocked in this mode, but you can also unlock Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, Johnny Cage, Kitana and Baraka by finding their respective hidden tokens in the campaign mode. The extra characters feature their own unique special moves and animations inspired by the other games in the series. The Versus mode is this game's attempt at a PvP matchup, but with it not being initially designed for this concept, it certainly feels like a short inclusion to add some additional playtime. There are a lot of stages to choose from, some from sections in the campaign, and others are more recreations of older MK arenas. Stages feature equipable weapons and health and energy pickups to assist either player, and some select stages may feature AI enemies that attack both players. Like Goro's lair for example, Goro actually drops down and starts to battle you both. These additional elements make this versus mode feel less competitive like the other Mortal Kombat games, and more just like a really fun party version of the classic game. The best part is, if you play 2 of the same character, the second player will be a generic palette swap, whereas the second player palette swap for Sub-Zero is a Noob Saibot skin. But he still controls like Sub-Zero, a cool detail nonetheless. Now in 2006, a whole year after the game released, a new mode was discovered, hidden incredibly well, it being Survival mode. In Survival, you spawn into an arena and you must battle the selected enemies. There's 9 stages of increasing difficulty, with some bosses being thrown into for good measure. You can find access to the survival mode by playing up to the foundry level in the campaign, and using a big axe that is used to destroy crystals, which are used on the area in the foundry to unlock a green portal that leads you to this secret mode. However, the Xbox version of survival mode is apparently bugged, with it potentially crashing the game. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was another success by Midway, with it not only receiving positive reception but also passing 1 million sales across both platforms. A sequel called Mortal Kombat Fire and Ice, focusing on Scorpion and Sub-Zero, was planned to release afterwards. However, it was cancelled due to financial issues within Midway that we'll get on further in this retrospective. A remaster was also talked about around 2013, but this too has unfortunately never seen the light of day at the time of making this video. Shaolin Monks is a game that is very fondly remembered for its addictive and intuitive beat-em-up gameplay, its genius two-player functionality, and it being a fun retelling of a beloved Mortal Kombat classic.